There have been times when I have enjoyed in the outdoors, cooking messy, time-consuming fancy meals. It always happens during campouts when I basically am able to lounge around all day with nowhere to go. On the Appalachian Trail, however, it is a different story if we're trying to hike hundreds of miles. When that happens, we're working hard every day, and there are limits to how much weight we can carry and how much time we can devote to preparing food. Under those circumstances, things can get kind of weird when it comes to food. Nothing I have seen on the Appalachian Trail has surprised me and baffled me as much as the food and eating choices made by some thru-hikers I've met. So we're going to look at how weird eating can get on the Appalachian Trail and what it can mean. We're also going to look at what I consider reasonable food choices that have worked for me. And we're also going to look at a case study of somebody who tried a very elaborate food and cooking choice on the AT. The food choice that surprised me the most was the day I saw a guy scooping cake frosting out of a can with slices of bread. I have recreated that trail delicacy for you here so you can see exactly how appetizing it does look. This was part of his evening meal. He was also eating noodles. He told me this is what he ate every day. Yet another fellow was snacking on Skittles candy, pretty much to the exclusion of everything else as he hiked through the day. Yet another fellow sat down one evening and started gnawing on the end of a large link of pepperoni. He was also eating bread and dry fruit. He did no cooking at all. And one more example, I met an older fellow, a retiree, who had a lot of canned items in his menu. He told me he began through hiking with his girlfriend, also a retiree, and they started off on the trail eating pretty much nothing other than small cans of meat products that they would put on crackers. They soon realized that was not enough, he said, and they began adding more calories. Now, each one of these people had been on the trail at least 3 months when I met them, and the 3 younger fellows were flying down the trail, covering at least 20 miles almost every day. The seemingly weird choices made by those thru-hikers might make a little more sense if we look at this chart that includes the kind of foods they ate and the kind of foods most other AT hikers eat. This chart shows the calories per food choice per ounce, with those ounces based on the weight we carry in our packs. If you've got a calculator and you check the nutritional labels on the food you buy, you can do this kind of investigation yourself. You'll notice immediately that peanuts and peanut butter are unrivaled by any food choice I have used or seen used on the AT. We'll talk more about that later. If we scroll down, we see that Skittles candy has more calories per ounce than, for example, bagels or macaroni and cheese that comes in a box. Hot on the heels of Skittles is my friend's canned cake frosting, and low on the list is the canned meat eaten by the retiree I ran into. Now, if you are saying, hey, wait a minute, calories don't tell the complete story, I agree. Most foods contain plenty of carbohydrates, plenty of fat with salt and sugar. How about protein? This chart shows protein in grams per ounce of food, and we see once again that peanuts and peanut butter are at the top of the pyramid. We see that Skittles candy and the canned cake frosting are at the bottom of the list. Close to the top of the list, we see freeze-dried macaroni and cheese. That selection also rated very high on calories per ounce. We'll talk about that later. Toward the middle of the list are noodles and rice that come in packages that can be opened and cooked quickly. Those are among my favorites, and I think it's true that no matter what, hikers tend to eat what they like. Many thru-hikers supplement their trail food by eating in restaurants when they can in towns along the trail. It is, I think, a worthwhile plan to take a multivitamin supplement on the AT. I can't say I've seen anybody else do it, but I've done it. And if nutrition is an issue, we have to look at a case study of a guy who is determined to eat very nutritiously during his thru-hike on the Appalachian Trail. I gave this fellow quite a bit of advice before he left on his hike. He told me that things like macaroni and cheese contain no real substantive nutrition, and this is the list of the food he chose. He planned to have his family send him mail drops of these food items as he continued along the trail, and that by itself was a very workable plan. His plan, however, becomes much more shaky when we consider the cooking time that was required for some of this stuff, combined with the fact that he was determined him to cook all of his meals using a wood fire with a portable stove that he'd made. Here are the cooking times, according to some websites I looked at, for some of the main staples he was going to be eating. These cooking times are modest if we're at home cooking in our kitchen, but they are far in excess of any cooking I've done on the AT. Another challenge he faced is that many wooden shelters and campsites I have seen along the AT have been badly picked over when it comes to small pieces of firewood laying around conveniently. A lot of the time, if not most of the time, he would have to walk around just to find a lot of wood to burn for these cooking times. When we add all this together, this fellow was going to have to devote a large amount of time to managing this cooking system at the precise moments when he was going to be quite tired from hiking. I don't know how much his food choices had to do with it, but he abandoned his hike after 4 days and went home. So let's do a quick overview of some of the items on those charts. Number one, of course, was peanuts and peanut butter. I love both. I carry both. I would never hesitate to throw a 1-pound jar of peanut butter in my pack because of the virtues of this thing regarding weight and calories and protein. It's true it comes in a jar, but it's a plastic jar. It's not very heavy when it's empty. I can cram other trash into it. And if it needs to be said, we carry all of our trash with us along the Appalachian Trail. Eventually, we will encounter trash cans at places like picnic areas, road crossings, the occasional store or gas station near the AT, and that's where the trash should go. Freeze-dried food ranked high on those charts. This stuff is not commonly found in stores along the AT. Some hikers get it in mail drops from home. When I've eaten this stuff on the AT, I have purchased packages that contain 2 servings each, and I would eat the whole thing. This particular bag contains more than 900 calories, and as you can imagine, if I ate this in the evening, I really didn't need anything else. The biggest downside about this stuff is its high cost. In 2015, I paid $7 for this particular bag, and at this same time, many freeze-dried selections will cost you up to $15 for a 2-person serving. Also, the packaging is bulky compared to many other food choices, creating more trash. I stopped using freeze-dried food, and I started cooking in my cook pot. Crackers, particularly sandwich crackers, have a very high calorie per ounce of weight rating. We can eat them when we take a break during hiking. We can eat them at night when we have our main meal. I like these things a great deal. The most economical way to buy these, I have found, is to get a box of the things at a supermarket. You'll end up with a much better price than if you buy these kinds of things individually at a gas station. A lot of people find ramen noodles pretty gross, but their calories per ounce rating is pretty good. You can eat the things dry if you don't mind the crumbs. What I tend to do is add a half a package of this stuff to whatever else I'm cooking in the evening and save the rest of it in a Ziploc bag to use the next day. Energy bars are handy and tasty, but they're a little pricey. The calorie content and the protein content can vary among many different brands available. Some of them, like the balance bar on the bottom here, has sort of a frosting coating that will melt on you in hot weather. A number of other types, of course, will not have that problem. Instant potatoes have a pretty good calorie per weight rating. Many types come in single servings. I've never seen any type of instant potatoes that could not be prepared very handily with cold or lukewarm water, and they would taste just fine. If we put in hot water, even better. Individually packed tuna does not contain a lot of calories, but it does contain a lot of protein, relatively speaking. And if we combine this kind of tuna with instant potatoes, that would be a pretty decent entree for an evening. Now we are down to my mainstays, mac and cheese and rice and noodle meals that can be cooked quickly. If we eat 2 servings of this stuff, we're going to be at about 500 calories or less, which is nothing compared to that bag of freeze-dried food. For that reason, I always add something else to the pot. I toss a bagel and some beef jerky into this one. In another video, I told how I always carry electrolyte drinks. Often in the morning, I'll have some tea, sometimes with soup, sometimes with Pop-Tarts, sometimes with crackers. Many thru-hikers I have seen do not eat first thing in the morning. Instead, they collect their stuff and they are gone. One last item is cookware. This is the cookware I have used on the Appalachian Trail, accompanied by the stuff sacks I carry it in. The cup you see on the right is a luxury. I could get along fine without it, but I always take it. In another video, I described the pot scraper, the white thing, and the toothbrush in the foreground. These are what I use to clean my pot. I eat all the food I can with my spoon, and I eat the rest of it with that scraper. It is a thin nylon scraper with very sharp edges. When I get done eating with that scraper, there is virtually nothing left in that pot. My next step is to heat maybe 1 or 2 ounces of water in the pot and swish the sides with the toothbrush. By using this approach, I avoid messy cleanups. I avoid the need to carry any kind of soap. I avoid the need to walk far from my campsite, dumping food scraps into the brush. And I have used this same basic rig many times during harsh conditions in the middle of the winter. Okay, we are done. If you find my videos helpful, please subscribe. It would be much appreciated. And as always, thanks for watching.